Hello and welcome to the Penno Channel for this match review of Aston Villa's last game in the Premier League, which ended up being Nottingham Forest 2, Aston Villa 1. Had to come on here, thought I had to review, talk it through with you guys as well. It's just me on this one today. So yeah, I'm just going to go through the game, go through my thoughts regarding the game as well, and hopefully see some of you guys in here in the chat and see what you guys have to say as well. But yeah, again, just a disappointing weekend, wasn't it, overall? To be in the position we were with around 10 minutes to go and to end up losing the game, it wasn't great at all, and it's put us in a predicament again in terms of, we kind of have to look to winning our next few fixtures, and there's some tough games within that, with Man City, Newcastle and Brighton coming up, the difficult games within that period. So it's an opportunity really to start a claim for top four again, to get back into the top four with a win, and it wasn't to be. So yeah, let's have a look into it. Ryan's joined. He says, "Evening, mate. Thanks for joining, Ryan. Appreciate it." As I said, thought can't avoid it. Have to come out and talk about this game and what happened. And yeah, we'll get into it. Kevin's joined as well. Thanks for joining, Kevin. He says, "Mings falling ill before kickoff was a blow. Knew it wasn't going to be our day." Thanks for the message, Kevin. And yeah, it didn't really go to plan from the off, did it? Let's get into the lineup. Let's get into the team. We eventually ended up with the same lineup pretty much, apart from the big omission of Ollie Watkins. We started off with Martinez, Konza, Carlos Torres, and Digne. Pau Torres coming into the squad because, unfortunately, Tyrone Mings was listed as being ill within the warm-up. He felt ill and he wasn't able to start, and then eventually he didn't play, which is a shame really, because I think the whole idea behind this was, rest Mings and he'd be available. He'd be the one who'd be going toe-to-toe with Chris Wood, and that was the plan all along. And for centre-back who's probably the best in defensive actions in terms of winning duels in the air, heading the ball out from crosses, which was going to be the whole game plan from Forest, he was a big omission. And yeah, that kind of set the tone for how the game was going to go forward in terms of us losing out in that aerial dominance. Forest did put us under pressure at times in the box, and yeah, they got success from it. So apart from that, we saw Kamara Tillemans in the centre of the midfield. Saw Matty Cash operating higher again, kind of playing as a right midfielder, right wing back at times as well. Similar to what we saw against Leipzig. And then Rodgers, McGinn, and as I said, the big omission was Ollie Watkins not starting, Jhon Duran getting his start, obviously scoring against Southampton and Leipzig. Could say he deserved the start. He's in good form. He's scoring goals, and he got the start up for me. He did deserve, and it was nice to see, a change in that sense, and to see. Let's see how Jhon Duran operates from the start again in a game which possibly was bigger in terms of Southampton at home. You place inside bottom of the league. You notice, managers sometimes make changes for those scenarios. This was a big game against a side who are having a fantastic season, who are level on points with us, and staying to Jhon Duran, you're going to get the starting position. That's a big statement from Unai. Yeah. So yeah, let's get into it, man. Obviously, having a big game in midweek, having a fantastic result from Leipzig. The 2 games previous to that, we've gone into this game winning 3 games in a row. We've got our season back on track in that sense. We were lumbered in 12th position before the game against Brentford. Results hadn't gone our way. We'd seen that our form going into that, how many games we'd lost. Just look at the league. We'd lost to Spurs, lost to Liverpool, drew against Palace at home, which wasn't the best result in that aspect. We would have been looking to win that. Losing to Chelsea as well. And then, yeah, just not getting the victories, going so many games without a win. I think it was 8 games. We're not used to that under Unai Emery. We've seen over the last 3 seasons of how even if we're in tough spells of losing 2 to 3 games, we'd always bounce back. We'd always find a way. So this was a difficult spell we'd been under, and to come out of that with 3 wins going into this game, we had done well. But this was the test now. This was against the side, as I said, in great form, really strong in the league. defensive numbers right up there in terms of XG conceded. Really strong defensively, and Nuno's really got them playing, and they're a difficult side to beat, as he had with his War side of yesteryear. So they lined up with the same back four, really, Sals, and then the back four being Aina, Milinkovic, Morello, and obviously Axel Moreno was unavailable, so Nico Williams came into the side, but he's been starting a few games recently as well. Within that, they had the midfield two of Elliot Anderson, who's been having a great time at Forest, and Ryan Yates, who gets about, he's going to get stuck in, he's going to, he's one of those players, man, that you might not be the best on the ball, but he's going to try and wind you up within the middle of the pitch. He's going to cause fouls and disruptions, which he did throughout the game. And then they had Hudson-Odoi, Morgan White, and the surprise, they started with Dominguez on the right. I know they've played Silva at times and even had Anthony Elanga in the team as well, but they started to operate with Dominguez off the right, and sometimes he dropped into the free and Morgan Gibbs White went out to the right as well, so they were flexible within that. And then obviously Chris Wood, who's having a great season on form as well, starting. So yeah, going into this, I knew it was going to be tough. I knew they were going to be difficult to break down. And I knew we had to be on our A game to get something from the game. Now, the first half, in all aspects, if you look at it objectively from the chance creation, not much happened in terms of, there weren't many chances. I think the XG looking from the first half wasn't the best. I mean, it was like, I think it was like 0.27 to Forest and 0.13 to us, and that's how the game felt within that first half. Not much happened. I think we controlled in areas we wanted to control it. We kept the ball fairly well. They didn't really have much of the ball in our half. They had similar in terms of possession stats. They had 54 to 46. So they didn't have much of the ball in our half, and neither did we in theirs. The game just played out in the first 45 minutes. There wasn't much action to speak of, but I'll get into what did happen. But yeah, 4 shots for us, 5 shots for them. We had 1 shot on target. I mean, 0.13 XG. It's not great in terms of what you're looking for, but then that could have potentially been part of Unai's game plan in terms of we just control the game in our aspects, having played in midweek as well, and then try and pick it up in the second half with the subs as well. For me, I felt that was also Nuno's game plan. Obviously, we'd played a game in midweek. They'd had the full week to rest, so I think they allowed us to have the ball in certain aspects in our final third. They weren't really pressing, and neither were we when they had the ball either. Both teams were happy to sit off and let the other play in their third. So it was just kind of cancelling each other out. There wasn't much going forward from either side. They were looking to allow us to play further up and then get the ball and transition on us. And I think they felt they could do that on their left-hand side with Callum Hudson-Odoi. Obviously, Ezri Konsa sometimes gets caught out playing right back. He's not as good as he usually is playing centre back for me, but he's had good games at right back, and it kind of seems like he's out of position. It looks that way. So yeah, when Matty Cash was pushing forward, they were looking to transition on our right hand side when they got the ball. But then what we were trying to do is overload on their left hand side, and there's a number of times in that first half Matty Cash was in acres of space. We managed to drag the ball across and play on the left and try and switch the play through Kamara. So that was where the battle was. It was on their left hand side and our right hand side. Each team was trying to get the edge on that. And yeah, it didn't feel like much was happening. A few sporadic chances for either side on the whole. I thought, their big chance was Morello, who had that header, which he should have done better with, really, from the cross. And again, would that have been something that would have occurred if Tyrone Mings was playing? Potentially not. Potentially the ball would have got out sooner, because we know how Mings likes to dominate in the end. We saw that against Brentford. And then our big chances, our big one was Ezri Konsa had a good header, which went just wide. But yeah, let's get on to the big talking point, the big thing, the penalty for Villa. I think as an incident, it's a pen. You just see Elliot Anderson, he absolutely pulls Morgan Rogers' arm off. It's a penalty. Now you can go for, was Morgan Rogers pulling Elliot Anderson's shirt? Potentially he was, but in that aspect, in terms of the penalty decision, it's decided on the actions within the box. The referee didn't blow for a free kick earlier on in the phase, so We saw that the VAR, the officials, they gave it for a fleeting arm pull. That was what the decision was made on. Nothing to do with what was happening earlier, a foul leading up to the penalty. It was given for a fleeting arm pull in the box. So they'd looked at that, the VAR, and decided against it, which is scandalous. It's a ridiculous decision. It's a penalty. Now he's fully tugged on Morgan Rogers' arm. It's a ridiculous decision. I've not seen Unai come out like he did after the game and put the pressure on the officials and say, you know, look, that was a penalty. I've never seen him do that. That's not within his nature. That's not the normal thing for Unai to do. So you could tell he was seething regarding the decision. Simply the guy, and he come out and tweet regarding the decision as well. So a lot of Villa fans, the club, the manager, the other officials regarding all around Aston Villa were not happy with the decision, and it was a penalty, man. And probably if it was Gideon would have gone on to take the lead, I have full confidence, and I think Jhon Duran would have taken it. I have full confidence in him finishing it as well. So yeah, we can say that we should have had a penalty in the first half, which is fair. But so one thing I'd want to ask for you guys in here: do you think we did enough in that first half to create? I don't think we did. I don't personally think we created enough. I think we controlled well, yes, but did we create enough? Did we really insert ourselves on the game? As I said, we had 4 shots in total. I think the shots were, we had Rodgers had a shot, Cash had a shot, and they were in like the 43rd and the 45th minute. The Ezri Konsa header was on the 39th minute. And then Duran had a left-footed shot which went miles over. So that was the only chances created in the first half. Now, we've respected Forest in terms of their defence, which is fair because they have a strong defence. And maybe that was their plan. They restricted us in our chance creation as well. But did we actually do enough? I'd like to ask you guys, do you think we did? For me, I'm not too sure we did. We did enough to say we should have taken the lead within that. We weren't peppering their goal at all. We weren't really creating any clear-cut chances, and the XG shows that 0.13 is nothing. It's marginal. So, yeah, I don't think we created enough, but then neither did they. For instance, I think their decent chance was Morello, but they didn't do too much either in that regard. So I thought 0-0 going into the half. I thought that was a fair reflection on the first half as a whole. I thought Ryan Yates he's just a dirty player, man. He plays bad. He did that one challenge on Morgan Rogers, and yeah, he's just a dirty little player. The way he was trying to foul, the way he chops, but that's to their advantage. I think he's a real hustler within there, and that's what Forest want within there around the pitch, and I think he does. He gets those niggling challenges, those challenges which are potentially marginally late, and he gets away with them. But yeah, he's not my type of player at all. Yeah, I think Ryan said first half no one did enough for anything. Yeah, I agree. I think that the half petered out. 0-0 was a fair reflection in terms of the actual gameplay, but we should have had a penalty, and I think we would have gone 1-0 up. But overall, in terms of our chance creation and anything like that, I thought we were poor. I didn't think we did much at all. Ken saying, yeah, same, I agree. So moving into the second half then, obviously we want to really impose ourselves now. And did we do that? I think you could say, yeah, we did. Again, I thought, we had a good chance with Ezri Konsa, which was blocked, which came from the corner. But again, from that instance, Duran had a shot in the 54th minute as well. But I thought Forest was starting to play. They had a good 4 or 5 minute spell before we scored, actually, where they were really getting to the game. And let's talk about it, because the save from Emi Martinez is unbelievable. It is the best save I think I've ever seen in the league. It's ridiculous. How he saves that from Dominguez, the reaction time is ridiculous. It's an absolute joke of a save. Unbelievable save. There was a lot of tussling in the box in the area again. Forest were looking to take advantage from set pieces, and maybe, would you say, our liabilities in terms of Carlos and Pau Torres, their strengths are not in the air at all. That's not their strengths. I think Carlos' strength for anything is his ball playing at times, but then he has lackadaisical moments, as we saw going in the second half on the ball, and obviously Pau Torres' ball playing is his strength as well. So yeah, they really tried to take advantage of that, and obviously Dominguez found that space within the box, and it's an absolutely ridiculous save. It eclipses his save for Argentina, even though that was more around the moment. But to get his hand down there, the reaction time to turn around and save it on the line, I've never seen anything like it. It looked like something out of the Matrix. It was that mad. It was nuts. It was an absolutely outrageous save, and for him to do that and keep us in the game, and then for us to 2 minutes later and go and score, I thought, this is written. This is it. They just get to a few of your comments. Ryan saying save of the season. Yeah, facts. Yeah. Amades, thanks for joining, Amades. He says, yeah, Martinez save was out of this world. He was ridiculous, an absolutely mad save. Like, I don't know how he reacted. He was just all instinct. Amades also says, in my opinion, the physicality was too much. Aston Villa, Forest's bigger, stronger team, officiating was terrible. That's a fair comment, and I do think in terms of, you know, the side they put out, Chris Rudd is an absolute, he's a beast. He's a specimen, man. He's like 6'4", and if you're going to put balls into the box, we're going to cause us trouble. I remember first half they put one to the back post and he tried to head it across, and it was kind of unfortunate within that. And Powell didn't jump with him either. It was like, if they were going to get balls into the air, it was going to be a real problem for us. And the big factor from stopping anything coming into the box and who was dealing with it was Boubacar Kamara. In that first half, he was outstanding. Defending our box, the amount of head crosses that came in and Boubacar Kamara headed out was ridiculous. Even his ball playing, he was playing diagonal balls. On the ball, he dribbled out of possession a number of times as well. He was ridiculous. He was so good. So yeah, Boubacar Kamara was big in terms of our defensive actions in the box, and I think that benefits from him previously playing as a centre back for Marseille. He still has that in his locker as well to defend the box as if he was playing as a centre back. So yeah, I think definitely Forest are looking to exploit that with their physicality, and as we go on to see, you know, Milenkovic is an absolute unit as well, and they use that to their advantage later on. But yeah, let's get back to it in regards to the save as well. Kevin said, no, we're good making a save. Class save if you then throw one in. P.S. I love Martinez just saying what I see. Fair enough, Kevin. But yeah, the goal. Let's go talk about the goal, because he's very good play. It's Rodgers has the ball and he runs into their half with the ball. Has a nice link up with Duran. Duran lays it off to him. Then Rodgers plays it out wide to McGinn, who then looks to Digne, who's on the overlap. Gives the ball to Digne, who then passes it back, and McGinn has space. And it's a decent ball from McGinn. Obviously, the distance isn't too far away. It's on the edge of the box. So from him to Duran isn't too far away. It's a decent ball. But the way Duran scores that header is an absolute joke. Like, the Leicester header was a joke in itself that he scored, because he was running back on himself from the Digne cross. He kind of arched his header and looped it more than anything. But this one, like, again, he's in a stationary position. He's had to watch the ball. The ball's not coming from the corner. It's coming from behind him. So he's facing away from the goal. So the way he's managed to direct the header and get that power on it as well. The power's a joke. It's ridiculous. So to do both, direct the ball, get the power from the cross kind of coming behind him at an angle, it's a ridiculous header. And this guy, Jhon Duran, he has all the ability in the world. For him, on his 21st birthday, you know, he's an absolute joke of a footballer, and he will continue to score us goals when we need him to. And he may have not had the influence that he's had in previous games. I thought Southampton, he was really good within that game as well. Leipzig, his impact, even not just scoring the goal, but I thought his general play. He didn't get as much because he didn't really receive as much as the ball against Forest. I thought, you know, as I said, we weren't really good in the attacking third against Forest in the first half. But when the opportunity comes and he strikes, he's deadly. He's deadly, and he's going to take that chance. And again, he did. And it was just a joke of a header. And, you know, to beat Sales from that position because of the power, again, he didn't really direct it into the corner, but the sheer power, an unbelievable finish. And we go 1-0 up, and it's like you're thinking now, wow, what a position we've got ourselves into. We haven't really exerted too much in terms of, you know, chasing the ball, pressing. We hadn't really exerted too much energy within that. So we felt like we were fresh. And Unai's comments after the game, he stated he had nothing to do with fatigue in the sense that You know, they were fresh, and the way we controlled the game in the first half in terms of not having to press them and also having quite a bit of the ball as well. We were still fresh within that game for me, and I think Unai stated that as well. So to do that and go 1-0 up, I thought, yeah, we're in a very good position here because we haven't really had to exert ourselves to get into this position, and now it's all about concentration and defending, and as we know, that didn't occur, and that's the real disappointment of that performance. I think for 70 minutes you can state that, yeah, we had control, but I thought Forest played their way as well. They had, maybe Nuno's plan was to do that as well and wait for the last 20 minutes because he knew we'd played midweek and they had a full week's race, and he assumed that we'd get tired. So that might have been their plan as well. But for us to execute ours in what seems like Unai was happy with the 70 minutes and score our chance on the 63rd minute, you expect to at least get a point out of that game and get all three. It's a massive game against a side who are level on points with you. You have the opportunity to go into the top four, and it seems like, again, Villa have the opportunity to capitalise on other results, you know, go closer to Arsenal even. We've seen over the weekend Man City lost as well. Brighton getting beat by Palace. Obviously, we didn't know all this before that, but it was a real opportunity to get into a top four position, and we've fallen apart. And one thing I want to do is I think in that period after Duran scored, it wasn't as much as us dropping our mentality. I want to give credit to Forest as well, because I thought Nuno got it spot on. His changes were great. He made them at the right time. Bringing in the Elanga to stretch us even further was top from Nuno, and I think that was their plan as well. As much as I say it was Unai's plan, Unai said the 70 minutes was we played well, and to his plan. I think as much as we say that, I think Forest was as well. I think they knew they'd get momentum later on in the game. I think Nuno expected us to tire. Okay, that might not have been the case, but I think he was looking to exert further pressure on us in the last 25, 30 minutes. And that's exactly what they did. Because from that point onwards, after we scored, Forest had about 8 or 9 shots on our goal. There were more in our half. I think our next shot from when we scored was John McGinn's shot in the 98th minute. That to me showed that was part of their plan. They were a goal behind, but they were ready to then stick it on us and really go for the game, and they did that. You can't fault for their efforts for that, because once we scored, we weren't really in the game, and it's mad. It's mad how it really turns so quickly. Before we get onto that and our defensive performance and display, just a few comments. Maida says Duran scoring threat anytime he has the ball. Lock the man in for the next 10 years. I don't know what's up with Watkins, but he's lost his mojo. I just think I totally agree with the Duran sentiment and statements. It's facts. I think Watkins is still a fantastic striker. For me, I'm just so happy we have 2 very good strikers in our squad, because not many sides within the Premier League can say that they have. You look at teams like Arsenal, we've got better strikers than them. You look at teams like Chelsea, could you say? I think we do. Who's really close to us in terms of the striker department as 2 out-and-out strikers to choose from? You could say we had the best pair of strikers in the league. You could generally make that statement. Okay, Haaland's a freak in nature, but Haaland's not been in the greatest form of recent times, and they don't have a second striker. So it's Haaland or bust. So I think we do have the best strikers in the league. I mean, even Newcastle would say he's at Wilson of yesteryear, but Wilson's not the same player. He can't stay fit. So yeah, I really do think we do, and I think we're fortunate to have that. And with Jhon Duran, the amount of times he's popped up and scored a winner for us, I think, you have to think of, he scored against the Everton winner. Leipzig was one. Southampton was the winner in the end. He puts 1-0 up in this game. There's other games as well that I'm forgetting. West Ham away. Like, there's so many winners he scored for us. And there's so many, I think without his goals, there's been 15 points down, which is crazy. And football obviously doesn't work like that. But that just shows the impact he's had from off the bench. And now he's starting games. He's scoring in games he started. He's scoring in games he started. I think every game he started, he scored, hasn't he? Or he's close to that. It might be one that he hasn't, but I think every game he started, he scored. So, yeah, unbelievable talent. And thankfully, he signed a new contract. What that means in football, I don't know. We don't know. We've seen Jack Grealish sign a contract and go the next season. So, who knows what that actually means. But the contract is in place, and I just hope he does stay around, and we have plans for him to stay around. In regard to some talk I've seen about, the PSR thing, for me, he'd have to take a ridiculous offer for me to want see Watkins to go. I'd want Duran to stand, and I want Watkins to stay. I want us to have the options. If we're going to be a top side and we want to build and challenge, I think you have to look at alternatives of sales. I think you keep these two players because they're going to be the ones that you hold and you require. If one got injured, what do we do if the other one's not available? I think to have a very solid base to try and challenge for and be consistent in the top four, consistent in Europe, you have to have two quality strikers, and we're blessed to have that right now. So I wouldn't want to see either go. I'd like to see other areas or alternative solutions, and I think we do have that within the squad before either Watkins or Duran leave this club. Kevin's saying Rodgers needs calling out. Too many times he loses ball trying to beat 2, 3, 4 players. It is instructions from Emery. Now, yeah, this Rodgers situation, it's a funny one because I agree. There's a number of times he does lose the ball. I think that was a frustration of mine with Emi Buendia when he used to play because he tried the extravagant too much. He tried the hard pass too often. Now, the 10 in a side, I think they have the license to do that. Rodgers is our creative outlet. There's no getting around it. When you're playing with McGinn higher up the pitch, McGinn he can be creative for sure, and he's a great assist, and he's got assists as such. But that's not really McGinn's game, is it? McGinn's game is to get the ball, try and transition with the ball, and also play passes around him, link play as well. So I don't think McGinn, we can really say he is a creator, but he can create. In terms of on the right, Leon Bailey's not had the best of seasons, so he's not been offering anything as well. Matty Cash is playing now within this game. For instance, Matty Cash is playing off the right. Do we really class Matty Cash as a creator? Not for me. I don't think that's his game either. It's not his game at right back, and definitely not his game at right mid either. So yeah, it's difficult. We are relying on Rodgers to be the creator within that, and when you're relying on him to do the task of creating, transition with the ball as well, which he does from deep. The amount of times we need Rodgers to drive and progress with the ball, it's a lot for him to do. It requires a lot from him, especially playing in that 10 position. Now, we've seen a few times he started off the left this season, and he's had decent games off the left as well. So the alternation can work with him and McGinn. But yeah, I didn't think he had the best games, but I don't think he was poor. I think if you watch the game back, there's big moments Rodgers has. I think the first half, the only spark that looked like helping us create or score was Morgan Rodgers. Again, he should have won the penalty. I thought he drove well with the ball off the right-hand side. He had nice link-up play with Matty Cash down that right-hand side as well. There was an opportunity where he tried to cut the ball back because he managed to beat, I think it was Elliot Anderson as well at that side. So he had, if you look back at it, he did have a decent game in terms of overall. But I think it does stick out, the opportunities and the times he did lose the ball. It does stick out because he's the only one trying to create. And if that was any other player in that position, you'd magnify him because he's the one who's trying to do the hard part of the game, which is create space. And as I said, if he's not doing it, then no one else really is. So, yeah, I do understand your point about him trying to beat 2, 3 poor players. But then I look at it objectively and think, okay, he's trying to do that because at the time, who's really doing anything further forward when they receive the ball? There's opportunities when other players receive the ball further up the pitch, and they didn't do anything either. So it's like, okay, he can do that every time, but are they going to do anything? No, because we are relying on Morgan Rodgers to create. So yeah, I do hear it, Kevin, in some aspects, but then I do think it's harsh as well because I think we're asking a lot of Morgan Rodgers and we're putting a lot on his shoulders to play, and I think a lot of his actions are missed, which are good as well as the times he loses the ball. But yeah, that's a fair opinion for yourself. And Maida says, how about the bicycle kick attempt by Duran? His athleticism insane. It's mad. I think we had a move a few weeks ago as well where he tried a bicycle over a kick. Was it the Juve game? Or it might be in the game before that. I can't remember. But he tried. We had a very similar move, and he was one touch passing. He was really good. And he tried a bicycle kick. It might have been Palace actually as well. Can't remember, but yeah, he tried the same thing. He's a joke. He's a supreme athlete. He has that thing, what they say he has that spring. You know how they say like sprinters have the spring in their limbs, and he seems to have that spring in his step, and his leaps are ridiculous as well. And yeah, he's an all-round athlete and a fantastic striker. Kevin says, I'm not bitter by the way Forest and all that. I predict Villa will finish above them, though. There's work to do. It's hard to say that, though, because I think Forest have performed. You have to look at some of the results they've got this season. They beat Liverpool at Anfield. They beat United the week before this. Like, they're no mugs for Forest. And as I said, I think it's more the structure and the shape. Nuno's, okay, he's not playing the 3-5-2 that he was playing at Wolves, but he's put in a structure at Forest. He's made their defence. He's solidified the defence. The numbers prove it from the game we played against them. We had 0.44 XG. That's nothing. We didn't have 1 XG, and we scored. So their defensive numbers and shape is top, and in the metrics they're right up there as well. I think he's done a fantastic job with Forest. A few more comments in here. Amanda saying, I understand friendly competition, but one of them has to go, either Watkins or Duran, and Duran looks like he has so much untapped potential. I don't see him wanting to come off the bench. I want Amanda, why does one have to go? What's the reasoning? Is it PSR? Is it because one or the other won't be happy? Because there's nothing stating that either one wouldn't be happy as yet. Duran did an interview on Amazon after the Leipzig game saying, he likes the competition. He's happy. He's happy with what's happening. He's happy with the situation, and he's just trying to help the team win. Those were his words. So why do we have to sell one of them? What's your opinion on that regarding that? Also, Ken Watkins didn't get any service. I don't think he didn't either. I agree. When Watkins came on the pitch, we didn't provide anything. And as I said, our next shot was in the 98th minute. And I'll get onto the goals, but yeah. Ken saying disregarding Rodgers. When he starts running with the ball, he's amazing, but he's passing off the ball. I couldn't run all that way to pass into the opposition, which is fair. But then I think there's instances where he makes great passes as well. If you watch the game back, he has some good moments and some really good play within that. And the Leipzig game, he really clicked with him. I thought in the second half especially, he was really good against Leipzig. Maida saying, that's the problem. Your best creators are also your best scorers. Watkins need to find a way to put Duran and Watkins in together, which is fair. And Unai always states that, he wants to try and get a system where Duran and Watkins can operate together, and potentially going forward, that may be the case. But he doesn't see that as the right time as of yet, shown by the lineups he selected. We're seeing currently that doesn't work. Did they need more time to work on it in training? We don't really get the time to train in training at the moment because games are coming thick and fast. They probably don't get much opportunity to work on things once Unai's done the tactical aspect of things. We've had games, Saturday midweek, Sunday midweek, going on for a number of weeks now. So it's difficult for him to implement that drastic of a tactical change. But I'm sure they'll be working on it, and maybe further down the line, a few fixtures ahead, we potentially see that as well. And Morgan Rodgers then moving to the left side of the pitch. It's interesting. It is interesting to see how that works, because Unai doesn't get away from that. He does say he'd like to at some point play them together, and if that's the case, I'd like to see how we would do that and what tweaks and changes he would make. Steve's joined. Thanks for joining, Steve. He says, yes, Penno, do you think our Man City style of play, slow possession, has been found out? Well, that's a fairly good point. I think limiting to create chance creation. I think the sides who do play that slower build-up play, in terms of City, Arsenal, and Villa, who are synonymous for that style, they're not creating the chances there were of yesterday, like last season. It's not the same in terms of Arsenal. Of recent times, if they don't score from set pieces, they're struggling to score from open play. I think it's 5 games they haven't scored from open play within the league. It's something ridiculous like that. So potentially missing how City play now. Now, if you watch the game against United, apart from the goal, they did not create anything at all. Their creation was poor, and we saw them. They had plenty of the ball in build-up, but they had no penetration, and that's mad to say with Foden, KDB, and Haaland on the pitch. And then Amorim seemed to set up well against that and restrict it. So yeah, you could say that teams are potentially clocking on to how we play, and with us. We've seen a number of managers say, I don't think it's a bad thing that they're saying it, but a number of managers have said that our build-up is predictable. You can understand the patterns that Unai and sides play. It's just about stopping it, and I think if you do stop it, you're going to have the advantage, and teams are starting to do that. And yeah, I'm sure there'll be tweaks and changes that Uno will try to play. I think the little tweak with Matty Cash worked against Leipzig, but it wasn't as successful against Forest. And yeah, that might, in the Premier League, it might require a difference. And you have to think playing Leipzig, okay, we played in pre-season, but playing in Europe, we're kind of an unknown entity still, as it's our first season. Whereas in the Premier League, teams know how to play against us. They've seen us over the last few years, and the trajectory we've been on for the last 2 seasons and how we've played, and they may be able to suss it out a bit more. Kevin says harsh but the truth. I agree about the creativity. I remember the Rodgers who turned and shot, scoring 3 in consecutive home games. Where's that player gone? Yeah, but do you think he had a good game against Brentford? I thought he was outstanding against Brentford, and I thought he was good against Leipzig as well. I do that second half. I thought he had a great game. So I don't know. Is he being as bad as you think, or is it just he had a bad patch and then Forest you didn't think he was good as he was? I don't know. I don't think it's been as bad as people are making out in terms of he's been shocking the whole season. I don't think that's true. I really don't. But yeah, scoring goals and creating again. He was playing off the left at that point. Essentially, there's more on him, and playing with a Moussa Diaby last season in those games, he kind of when he was playing off Watkins, he kind of took that away as well. Yeah, there was a bit of inconsistency between the link up for sure at times, but I don't think Morgan Rodgers has been as bad personally. I don't think he has. A few more in here before. I'm going to say I understand that you said that, which is politically correct thing to say. Do you think he will be happy in the long run coming off the bench? No, I don't. But again, it's a tough. This is my feeling regarding that. If you want to be a top side and you want to challenge up there, you have to have a squad. Now, the top sides within the league have squads, and they have players who do not play, who start on the bench, but yet they still seem to work around it. Look at Liverpool's front five. They have Gakpo, Nunes, Salah, Jota, who's coming back, and I'm missing someone, and Luis Diaz. But they can only fit into 3, but they still have that quality, and they still work around it. I just think if we're trying to reach to get to that standard, why are we selling one of our 2 best players, or our two great strikers? I think you have to manage it if you want to get to that top side. I don't think you sell. That's my opinion of it. I think if you're trying to become an even better side, why are we selling one of our best players in this scenario? Now, if you want the argument of potentially Watkins has reached his peak and the money we can get for him, that's a different conversation, and that might be fair. But in terms of them not the politics, I don't buy it, man. Because why can other teams do that and we can't? And why in other positions can you do that, but because of strikers you can't? Other positions you can have 2 to 3 players vying for spots who are both performing, but in the strikers for some reason it seems like you just have to sell, and I don't get that. I don't get that way of thinking. The Villa fan says, I have been saying this for a while now this season, and something Monchi should have looked at more during the summer. Our back four is very poor. I'm hoping for improvement on that in January. Well, I think right back, we're well aware. We tried to get a right back, Gertrude, even though I don't think he had the best game for Leipzig. But then again, he was operating as a centre-back, which we were looking at for a right back to play centre-back as well. And I thought we caused him a lot of problems in midweek. But that didn't materialise. So I think we're definitely looking for a right back for sure. But yeah, I agree, centre-back is a struggle. We know what happened in the summer. We tried to offload Diego Carlos. He wasn't part of the plans. Fulham ended up going for Joachim Andersen. He stayed at Villa. We couldn't get rid of him, and he was here because we had to keep him. We couldn't sell him, and he started more games than we probably would have envisioned. Matty Cash had the injury for a spell. Konza had a bit of an injury as well, and yeah, it's one of those where I think Diego Carlos probably departs either January or summer, and we go in for another centre back, which I think we will do as well. But yeah, I do agree. It will be interesting to see what he does. I don't know if all this business will happen in January either. I think January is a difficult window. I'd like that to happen. I'd like to be optimistic and say that will happen, but I'm not sure it actually does happen. And Mings with Konza should make a hell of a difference. Our best defensive pairing bar none. A lot of people say Mings Konza is our best defensive pairing. Mings, Cons and Pal. The thing is, I think it's hard to disrespect like Cons of Power and even Carlos in some aspects because we got top four with that. Mings didn't play last year and we got top four. We conceded a lot of goals, but in the big crunch games against Arsenal, against Man City, Arsenal away, we kept clean sheets. So I think Mings might be part of our best centre back, our best two at centre back, but I don't think it's a definite at all. I don't think that's a definite at all. Because I've seen what we can do with the other guys as well, and where we finished in the standings in the table. I think each of them have their qualities, and I think Mings in the air, operating defensive actions, is a lot better than Pau Torres for sure. But Pau Torres sometimes his positioning. The Pau Torres last year, especially when we were playing our high line, he was fantastic because he was organising the defence. He was playing high, and we catch a lot of players offside when he was marshalling it. So yeah, it's hard. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Amada says definitely needed defensive pieces January. Villa relies too much on the goalkeeper. Facts and he also says, what position do you think is the weakest defensively? I've always said right back. We need a right back, but and allow Ezri Konsa to play centre back. I think that's the massive one for me. We need a right back who can. They say they're looking for in Gatuda. It seemed like we were looking for a right back who can also play centre back. But I'd like to see a right back who's just a good right back, well, who's just a top right back. That's what I'd like to see. Whether that's the case, we'll see. The comments are flying in, just trying to get through them. The Villa fan says, in the Forest games, you can add other games in this season to it. After we score our lead, we seem to be messing around too much at the back. Rodgers was getting better and better to be fair. And yeah, Ken said Yuri's just one of the best. Yeah, Yuri's quality. He's gone off it a bit recently, but if you look at his chance creation numbers, he creates our most chances. Yuri Tielemans from a deeper line position in terms of playing the ball through the lines, which you don't really want. You want it further forward, but Tielemans has been really good. The fan Carlos and Powell for me aren't a good partnership in the back four. For me, we should go three at the back. Powell, Mings, or centre half from January and Konsa. We need to stop playing Carlos, in my opinion. Fair. I think Carlos his time's come to an end. I used to vouch for Carlos in terms of the big games where I've seen him have fantastic games. We have to just remember Bayern Munich this year. He had an outstanding game against Harry Kane this year against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Juventus, I mean, he didn't put for wrong. We drew 0-0. They didn't really create much within that. But it's just consistency for Diego Carlos. There's just too many clangers in games that we need to get results from. And if you can't be consistent, then you're not going to be good enough for what we're trying to achieve. You can't just play at the top level in the big games and not be consistent throughout. And yeah, I do think that as well. But even again last season, Carlos had big games. City. When we were playing that Konsa right back, Carlos, Pau Torres, Luca Dean back four, we were getting clean sheets against big sides, but you can't rely on them. You can't rely on them. And I was thinking after the game, who is the most trustworthy? Who's the player you can trust the most? And I think for me, it's Boubacar Kamara. I think out the 10, if you're talking about outfield players, you really and truly you can trust Kamara. Can you say any other players you can really trust? Konsa might not be far off, but then you look at the game of the second goal, which we'll get onto. Konsa shouldn't have played that pass to Cass in the first place. He should have played it. He should have just played it long. Looked game state. Should have played to the game state, which we didn't do. Who can you really trust within our side? Yeah, not one of you. For you guys, let me know your thoughts on that. Who do you think you can really trust? Because for me, I think it is only Kamara. But yeah, let's get on. Let's get back to the game. Yes, that period after we scored was not good, was it? It was not good at all. And credit to Forest, credit to Nuno, their game plan. It worked. They put the pressure on. They started to really create, and they started to get really good chances. And we got away with one before we did concede. Chris Wood goal. Alanga's deemed to be offside. I thought Alanga came on and kind of transformed the game for him down that right hand side. And yeah, they had the chances going up for that. I mean, Nico Williams before that had a shot. Gibbs White had a chance as well. Dominguez, he had that left footed shot that went over the bar. They were really creating. They were really creating good opportunities. You had the Elliot Anderson chance. Morgan Gibbs White had a chance as well, which was a header, which Emmy saved. But yeah, they you think they've equalised through Chris Wood. Of course, it was Chris Wood. You thought, he scored and it was just going to happen. But we get very fortunate that Elanga is marginally offside. Very fortunate. They draw the lines at Digne and yeah, we get away with one at that point. And at that point, you're thinking, okay, Villa, you've been warned. This happens a lot. Villa get warnings and get away with stuff, and we got warned. We got let off. That's a huge chance for us to keep clean sheet now and go and win the game. Go and play. Play correctly. But no, it was the same temperament, same style. Playing too slow, not playing high up the pitch. And this is the thing that catches us out quite a lot. We stick in that one zone, in that one way of playing. In terms of the first half, we played slow and methodical, which I think was our plan. But is that the plan after we go 1-0 up to play at that same tempo? I'm not sure it is. And as Unai said, the excuse was we weren't tired because he said we weren't. So why do we continue that aspect? It seems like we can't play out of it. even at 1-0 up, we can't really adjust to our play style. And it's kind of favoured us going behind in games because we seem to claw it back better than we have done this season when we've taken the lead. And that was a hallmark of us last season. Going 1-0 up was a massive hallmark of our victories. I think we were the best team in terms of from going on to win games, from taking the lead. We were the best side in the league last season from doing that, or we were right up there. This season, we were one of the worst. Think of the amount of games we've taken the lead in and we've gone on to concede. It's not good enough. It's not good enough, and that's a big mentality thing, and that's the thing I thought we'd got over from last season. I really did. I thought, the mentality had changed, even for that period from when Unai first came in the 22-23 season. We were keeping clean sheets. We were defending as a team, as a unit, and 1-0 results became our thing. Or if we'd be 2-0 up and we conceded in the last few minutes, it was consolations. We weren't really under threat. But this year, it's a totally different story. We saw midweek, we conceded every time we went 1-0 up. Lapse of concentration, unforced errors, conceding goals. And again, we have a massive warning from Chris Wood's goal being disallowed. And we still go on to lose the game from being 1-0 up. That's not good enough. It's not good enough. Now, we have that warning. Our style of play didn't change from that point. It's concerning. It is concerning because how can we not see out from that point within the game? And I think the big factor and the good point that someone made is we didn't change the way we played. We were warned and we still didn't change how we played. And then the mistakes started to come in. Unforced errors, passes from Diego Carlos, short passes from Konza, players not being aware on the ball. I think Matty Cash not being aware on the ball. It's not good enough, man. It's not good enough. And we concede from the header from Milenkovic. People are getting onto Emmy for throwing in the net. I think he's close to the goal, man. Like, he should do better, but I don't think he's the one you should be pointing fingers at. I just think the whole play before that and the amount of space he had, not getting to the ball quick enough when the cross is coming in. It's just a poor goal to concede, and it's like there's no one to challenge Milenkovic. He's a unit, and you do think if Mings was potentially on the pitch at that point, it would have been nice to just get Mings on, if it just for that 10 minutes or when we took the lead, just for the presence in the air, because the Brentford game showed me what he's about and that he's back at it, because that's a big physical side we faced in Brentford, and any balls that came into the area, Mings dealt with. He was outstanding in the air, and look how we went on to concede the goal, the equaliser. He was ball into the box, and yeah, I think. Well, the 3 goals were all balls into the box from out wide, and even Mings against Brentford, things that were coming off along the floor as well. Anything that was coming into the box, he was just getting rid of it. He was clearing it, and we did really miss that within that period, because we just kept on continuing to try and play out from the back, play in our half, not play higher up the pitch, and that just brought more pressure on. Forest were getting more into the game. They were really sticking it on us, and the goals was going to come. The goal was going to come. For us to concede and lose, I didn't expect that. But the goal, the equaliser, I just thought it was going to come. Even when we got away with it, I thought it was going to come because we didn't change the way we were playing. Unai said in his post-match as well that last 20 minutes we didn't create anything and we didn't keep the ball well. We didn't keep the ball well at all. And we didn't play higher up the pitch. That was the big play higher. Don't allow them to become camped in our half and then exploit us from our weakness, which was in the air or balls coming into the box, because we know Carlos and Pau Torres, that's not their strengths. That's not their strengths at all. And Forest with Wood, Milenkovic who scored. Yates is a side as well. Elliot Anderson's a decent side as well, even as a player. They're going to attack us and they're going to really stick it on us in those positions, and we just didn't deal with it, man. And it's infuriating. It really is. So we go 1-1, and at that point you just felt like there was only one team. If there was going to be a goal, there's only one team that were going to go on to win it. Obviously, we had the additional time. I think it was 8 minutes added time at that point. And yeah, let's talk about the goal. I think the goal itself is undeserving. I think it is a foul from Elliot Anderson on Matty Cash. I think there's no denying that in terms of that goal and that incident. But did I think Forest deserved to win the game? Yeah, I did, because the way they played for that 20-25 period, I did think they went on to win the game, and I think they deserved to win it. But in terms of that goal in itself, it was a foul. Matty Cash loses the ball a couple of times within that before that. The Con's pass to Cash. Why is he not just playing it down the line? It's a poor pass into him for that moment. But yeah, it's just poor. It shouldn't be a goal, but the whole play around it is so poor. It's so poor, and it's like we were playing into them scoring to the winner. We were playing into it. They were putting the pressure on for them to score. I mean, Nico Williams had a chance just before that as well. And we had opportunities to get the ball out of our box, out of the area, out of our half, and we never took it. And we invited it onto ourselves. It was our own downfall, and it was Forest's deservingness because they were applying the pressure onto us, and we didn't respond throughout. And when they scored the second, I was just like, I didn't even feel like. At that point, I didn't feel like, oh shit, we can see it. It felt like this was coming. I could see it coming a mile off. I really could. And we've been in these predicaments before. We've seen Villa do this on numerous occasions. Not as much under Unai as such, but this season we've had games, where we've Bournemouth conceded last minute. You just concede goals, and a lot of them. It's mad. And the weird thing is for me is our defensive numbers are better than last season in terms of the metrics. They're better. But it's the unforced errors that are killing us. It's our play that's killing us. The unforced errors are leaving into sides having big chances against us. If we cut that out, I think the general defensive play would be decent. The numbers show that we concede a lot less chances than we did last season. And in terms of big chances, we don't concede as many at all. But when we do, it's for our own downfall. There's so many games this season where we've conceded because we've misplaced a pass, played a pass in the wrong area. It's not because the other side and their build up. It's been more our errors, and we've just continued to do it again. And it's not good enough. And Elanga goes on to score the winner, man. Decent cross. No one picks him up. I think everyone was expecting the foul on Elliot Anderson, on Matty Cash from Elliot Anderson. Defenders haven't reacted, and you see Morgan Rogers' rage at the referee, which again, let's not take anything away from the ref. The referee's performance was appalling. Should have had a pen. That was a foul for the second goal. But did we deserve to win that game? I don't think so on the balance of play, especially after we scored. No, I don't think we deserved to win it. Were Forest deserving? Yes, I think they were, because the amount of shots they had 3 big chances. They had 12 shots to our 4, 6 on target, and they had about 8 shots from the point we scored to John McGinn having a shot at the end of the game. So I think they did. But yeah, it's disappointing. Because, to be honest, at that point I would have taken a point. The way the game was going, I would have taken a point. But to lose it to a side who were level on points with you, and our form against sides in the top 10, we've only beaten Fulham. Okay, we yet to play Brighton and City. But the rest of them, we've only drawn with Bournemouth and lost the rest. And that was a big part of our season last season in terms of we were getting results against the top sides. Results, draw against Liverpool, beating Arsenal home and away, beating Man City at home, beating Chelsea away. You know, Bournemouth last season beat at home, got a draw away. Forest last season, okay, we lost this game, but we drew them. We beat them at home. Brighton, we beat at home, we lost away, but you know, we got a result in that. So yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one to take because we're not picking up results against the side against us, and we have a big opportunity now coming ahead because again, we have three sides who potentially will be close to us towards the end of the season in Brighton, Newcastle, and Man City at the weekend, who are not in form. And we really need, if we have aspirations to get in Europe this year, I think we need to pick up points in those games, and we need to perform. We need to show the performance, which we've really been lacking. But yeah, it was a disappointing one. It's not the end of the world. It's just a disappointing one in terms of you looked at these next four fixtures and it was all against sides close to us. And the first one we've played, we've lost. After playing sides in Brentford and Southampton, look, Southampton at the bottom of the league, you expect to win that, and Brentford away form is horrendous. They've picked up virtually no points away from home. I don't think they haven't won away this season. So yeah, massive games coming up, huge games coming up. In terms of, can we just get back to what we had in the last two games previous to that and start winning, and just get a big result? We're missing that big result against a good side. Fulham away was the last one. Fulham were in form at that point, and it was a really big result. But other than that, in terms of teams in the top 10, we haven't done nothing. We've beaten the teams in the bottom half of the league. So yeah, this is big. These next three games are huge in terms of, can we show the mentality to beat sides around us? We're facing a City side who are not in shocking form. We're in better form than them, which is mad to say. Since November the 1st, I don't know if you saw the stat, but they've got 0.57 points per game in the league. The worst out of all 20 sides in the league. Can you imagine saying that about Manchester City? Apologies. Just shocking. So, yeah. Yeah, that coughing fit. Oh, wow. It's got me. Yeah. So, anyway, I think I'll end this one. I haven't got a drink around me. Yeah, my throat's gone there. I might have said, hello, Penno. This is Derek, by the way, from the USA. I appreciate you for accepting into Villa royalty last week. A lot of these YouTubers ignore you as a new fan. Big up to you, brother. I really appreciate that, Amadeus. Much respect. And of course, man, anyone is more than welcome. And I'm not the judge of who is and who isn't. So yeah, that's for sure. I'm dying, man. Thinking about that City form. A few more. Kevin saying Man City are shot to bits. Yeah, they are. Ryan the saying we'll beat City. Saying grab water. I wish I had one around me, man. I don't, so I'm going to shut this one soon and try and get a drink, man. But I appreciate you looking out for me. Anyway, guys, I'm going to call it a day. We're going to do a preview. Hopefully, I'll be joined by my bro to go through that. The Man City preview for sure. And yeah, not the result we wanted, but we move on now. Big games coming up over this Christmas period, and we can still write this. We can still write this for sure, definitely. If we get 7 points, if we get 5 points out of the next three, it looks decent. But yeah, we'll see how it goes, man. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, thank you all for joining. I'm going to get off. I'm going to get a drink. I'm dying right now. And see you for the Man City preview. Up the Villa.